50 years after terror gripped the San Francisco area, we may finally know the true identity of the Zodiac Killer. In a just-released book, a man claims to have proof that his own father is, in fact, the infamous serial killer. The Zodiac Killer terrorized Northern California in the late 60s, killing at least 5 people, all while taunting police with letters and cryptic messages. The case has become one of the most chilling in American history.
Late December 1968, 2 young lovers were murdered in the small town of Vallejo. The victims apparently forced out of their car and shot. Then, 6 months later, it happened again, just 2 miles away. 2 more young victims shot in a car. No one realized the murders were connected until the killer claimed responsibility and promised even more bloodshed in a series of letters to newspapers. He called himself Zodiac, accompanied by what would become his trademark symbol. The letters were taunting. He seemed empowered by the fear he caused.
This is the Zodiac speaking. I like killing people because it is so much fun.
It appears to us that he is killing just for the thrill.
His correspondence also featured cryptograms or ciphers. They seemed to be clues, but most were never decoded.
It was so tantalizing. He gave us so many clues, and the fear was so great.
And for good reason. Zodiac was not finished.
I see him walking, not running, but walking deliberately with some speed toward us.
September 27, 1969. Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard took an afternoon drive here to Lake Berryessa. What goes through your mind when you see the guy's pointed gun at you?
Well, you kind of stop, and he says, "Don't worry about it. All I want is your money in your car. There's nothing to be concerned about."
And Brian says at the time he thought it was a simple robbery, even after the hooded man has both of them hogtied, their hands bound to their feet with this very clothesline.
I was never concerned that anything bad was going to happen other than maybe being stuck out there tied up all night. Never crossed my mind.
Then suddenly, a swift movement.
He stabbed you without warning?
No, without a warning. Without saying a word, without saying I'm going to get you, without anything, just boom.
Brian was stabbed 8 times, his lung punctured, blood everywhere.
I'm feeling not the knife blade, I'm feeling the hilt. I'm feeling his hand on my back.
For Cecilia, it was even worse, stabbed between 10 and 20 times. With his 2 victims, Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard, bleeding on the ground, the Zodiac calmly walked away, leaving footprints size 10.5 behind him. He headed to Brian's sports car, a Volkswagen Carmen Ghia, and with a felt tip marker scribbled on the passenger side door. It's a declaration, as if he's saying, "Make no mistake, I killed all these people and here's proof." He wrote the dates of his murders, indicating he did the latest one with a knife. And the door is adorned with his trademark symbol. Even more brazen, the Zodiac used a payphone to call the police to report his own crime.
He slipped through the police hands at least 2 times. They came so close that the phone he used and left hanging from the hook was still wet with sweat.
Somehow, Brian made a full recovery. Cecilia died in the hospital. To this day, police have never arrested a suspect. The Zodiac went on to claim he was responsible for more than 3 dozen killings, but authorities could only link him to 5.
All right, take a look, folks. Is that the face of the Zodiac Killer? Well, one man says it is, and he's just released a book detailing his findings. He says his very own father is the man behind the horrific serial killings that gripped San Francisco back in the late 60s. And he says he has proof. Now, this is a guy who was looking for his biological father in that search. And through that search, he believes he's come across this evidence that links his biological father to the Zodiac Killer. Well, the first piece of evidence is the picture. Let's take another look, if we can, at that sketch. And here you have the sketch that was given by one of the survivors of one of the attacks. And there's his father. And you look at him side by side. Mike Brooks and the Dream Team in with me. Look at them side by side, Mike. I mean, that is uncanny.
Vinny, even down to the mouth and the hair. I mean, it almost looks like it's his twin. It's got to be.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is the best, some of the best proof, because you have someone, you know, someone that survived, gave a detailed description. That description matches this picture. Now, the backstory of this guy is that he has a child out of wedlock, apparently gets in trouble for having the child because the mother was underage, so served time for that. Now this guy's tracking down his dad and believes he's found the Zodiac Killer. Another piece of evidence were some of the cryptic messages. And in some of those cryptic messages, the man's son and police, both independently, found the words EV Best in those cryptic messages that were left, Mike. And EV Best is the name of the man's father.
Exactly. And that in and of itself is scary, too, because he left all of these cryptic messages, but EV Best Jr., that's him right there, Vinny. And I just can't get over the picture and how close they really are. You know, I've seen a lot of composites and people when they're locked up. That's one of the most accurate composites compared to a picture that I've ever seen.
Now, it still has not been confirmed by anyone, but it's his own son who is saying he believes this is the case. Joey Jackson, your reaction, the book's coming out today. Not a lot of pre-publicity about it, but this was a mystery for so many years, and now perhaps solved.
You know, it would be a fantastic thing if it were. You know, you look at history and you certainly know that ultimately the truth comes out. But do you really, you know, I really want to look deeper and know whether or not we can't just look at a picture and make that determination. There has to be more.
Yeah, more than a picture, but this is a great lead at a minimum, Lonnie.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I would like to see law enforcement get involved in this again. They said that they haven't been notified, they haven't been told, but if I was one of the detectives on that law enforcement, you know, who've been waiting to try and figure this out, I'd be reading that book from cover to cover and see if we can open those files again and put this together.